And that seemed to scare Mark away.
He was having some audio issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Welcome to BNS Working Group meeting. So we had a week, 2 weeks off during Thanksgiving. There's also been a Discord group created by some of the BNS Council members. I'm not sure. I know Don isn't in the group. I don't know. I don't think Mark is in the group either. Perhaps we should make a way for people to be added to the group.
Yeah, if we could be invited, that'd be great.
I'll see if I can do that. And just before we started recording, we talked about I guess Hank is working on a SIP, and Don talked a little bit about what he's working on.
Yeah.
Do you want to update people on that?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Regarding the SIP, I'd say it's sort of 80% of the kind of features are like, I would say good to go in terms of, well specified, and I don't see any, potential problems with them being in the SIP in terms of being, very controversial. There are a few that are looking like a decision needs to be made, as soon as possible, of either figure out kind of what to do next or drop it. So I can bring up some of those basically. Zone file resolution, I think, is one of the messier ones. There's a couple ways, to do it, but I think it, part of the problem is that it adds a lot of like downstream kind of complexity in terms of, for example, apps wanting to resolve like a Bitcoin address that's in their zone file. It's like all sort of libraries and APIs need to be updated for it. And so, in my mind, it's a question of sort of costs versus reward. I think, Larry, you're probably the one most sort of familiar with the problem. I'm curious if you have, an opinion here. You're muted.
You're muted. A friend of mine named his boat "You're on mute" during COVID. So I didn't catch the last part of what you said because I was talking with Snazzy about adding people to the working group Discord. So what was the question for me?
A couple features that we're talking about being, potentially in a SIP that are like less specified / more complexity, etc.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is the zone file resolution aspect, and so there's a couple ways that I can think about potentially doing it. I think part of it's even just in terms of what goes in the upgrade, it's certainly added complexity, kind of like from just like a high level design standpoint, but it also adds a lot of complexity downstream in terms of APIs, libraries, tooling that even uses it, and so.
Are you referring to like the fact that you can only resolve zone files through the legacy, like the existing contract?
Through Atlas.
Through Atlas. Okay, I'm remembering there's something about putting zone files other places. So it seems like there's two parts of it. One is like working with the core blockchain team to make it so that other contracts can use attachments. It seems like that's one thing, and then the other thing is the different paths for zone file resolution, right?
Yeah, and the first part, it's a good call out. The first part is like mandatory, assuming like we keep using Atlas, which I think not doing that would add a whole lot more complexity. And from every indication I've seen, it seems like the core team would be very on board with allowing this new BNS contract to submit attachments and track them, etc.
So it would still be a blessed contract, despite the fact that Jude said it is not a blessed contract.
Well, I think he's.
Why aren't all contracts able to use attachments? That would be my question.
Because it's really just for BNS.
Okay, and then so Jude decides what BNS is.
Uh,
It's just really
I
weird. So
mean,
it makes no sense. It makes no sense, right? Like either you have a feature that all smart contracts can use and anybody can publish them, or like you don't, right? That means that just like this is like not like it's. I feel like it's really easy to understand. Like it doesn't make any logical sense. Like you're making a programming platform, right? And you're saying these are the features we have, and you're saying all contracts except for the proof of transfer contract are equal. But then you're saying, oh, but this one contract is more equal than others. Well, then it's more equal than others. So like that's like a. I mean, I don't know if we need to go like who needs to address that, but that seems like patently obvious to me. I mean, maybe it's not obvious to other people. Like why only one? I mean, you guys built BNS X and only found this, right?
mm,
Found out about this restriction, um,
mhm.
which is not like
Well,
yeah. I mean, it basically says that no one else who doesn't have control over the stacks core like consensus mechanism can write another BNS contract. So like even if like all of us except for Jude or whoever controls the core team, right, we decide this is the new BNS. If they do not approve it, it does not work.
yeah. I mean, I would say that all indications, from Jude have been like he's very against like a replacement contract, like changing the source code of like the exact, contract that exists today, like the same with the
Yeah,
same
I
address.
think everybody. I mean, I can't
But
imagine who would be. Yeah.
right, but he is, supportive of like, hey, assuming like there's some sort of like, community approval of SIP essentially that allowing Alice to use this would be good to go. But that's like one question. And then I mean,
Okay, so that's one
your other
question. Yeah.
point, um, I mean, Atlas from the start was really just a BNS thing. And I think that's, only ever been what it's intended to be. Obviously, like there's a lot of problems with allowing any contract to use it for whatever purpose because it's sort of a DDoS vector. Um,
Well, gated by the price of stacks transactions, which was the original like when we had this back when pre stacks 2.0 was on stacks 1.0, right? When it was just on Bitcoin. And the idea
mhm,
was that like you couldn't spam it because Atlas will only take data when you've like sent a like confirmed transaction where you paid the mining fee.
mhm, mhm. Mark, do you want to say something?
Yeah, just jump in here. High level, maybe dumb question, but Atlas to me feels very legacy in the sense of it's something that's been around for a long time. Very few people understand it, even though it exists. Hell, I mean, I've been working on stacks related things for now 5 years. I don't really understand it still. It's like, it feels like the subterranean layer of stacks, and it's there to support BNS, right? But I guess just throw it out there. Like, is it the way forward? Like, is Atlas something that,
Mm,
as a general concept, is needed? We need it for a certain thing, and it can't be not Atlas. Are there alternatives? And if we move forward with Atlas, is there a way to actually make it more of a first class citizen with, as far as just like how we all use it and understand it? Because I guess when I hear Atlas come up, I'm just a little bit like, oh, Atlas, right? Am I the only one?
I mean, I know it really well. It's very simple, but I know that it's not been like put front and center. I mean, it's like simple
mhm,
to the point of being like super dumb simple. Like it
mhm,
just doesn't like it just has data and like the different nodes will like gossiply like exchange all the data pieces. So if you run a stacks node, you'll have an entire copy of Atlas, and the only way it's a key value store. The only way you can put a key in is if it's like, I mean, now it's been included in a stacks and a BNS smart contract, but prior to that, it was like there had to be like a particular Bitcoin
mhm,
transaction, right, that gated it.
mhm, mhm,
So it's just a key, like a really dumb key value store. And I agree. I mean, I think that's really the point is like if it's either should be like a first class edition of stacks smart contracts and anybody should be able to use it, or like or um yeah, or maybe it just shouldn't be there.
mhm, mhm.
And I'm not that familiar. Like I'm not as familiar with smart contracts, so I would ask like, what are the storage options
Yeah,
like
yeah.
available
I
besides
mean,
that?
this is something I've explored, and ENS, for example, they allow off-chain data, but their primary way of setting, their zone file is just on-chain. It's just like smart contract, You store some data. You can query it from smart contracts. It's a little bit more expensive in that sense. Like you're going to pay a slightly higher fee for making a zone file update, but there's definitely better guarantees around like security, kind of like permanence, you could say. Obviously, the ability, like you could then query data from a smart contract. Like you could say from a different smart contract, what is the Bitcoin address of Larry.btc, and be able to resolve it there. I do really like that approach. That's I think the number one way that if we were going to be making zone file changes that I would advocate for. It's also just like, but do we drop Atlas and do we implement other off-chain capabilities? Basically ENS supports, like you can say either it's on the smart contract or you can say it resolves on this IPFS hash. It's all very doable. It's again more of a complexity issue. Potentially it's something where we could say, hey, we build the sort of bones of how this will work within the upgrade. We're not really going to support it within apps at launch. Yeah, I mean, this is great because I'm really trying to get a temperature check, and it sounds like
that resonates.
Yeah, it sounds like a forum post is needed to like really outline this more. Like I have one, but I think it's hard for people to grasp the issue, and so
I kind of see I see both ways. Like I get the benefit of the way ENS does it, and I think I think there are many good things about that. Both having like the built-in functionality and the ability to say IPFS, BitTorrent, whatever, some other hash, like hash value sort of thing, right? Where you have data integrity guaranteed, but like you can find it. But like the other thing that like just seeing that over the last year, like the excitement we have seen with ordinals, like I kind of feel like that Atlas is like an undersold portion of stacks. That like there's like economic questions about it. It's gonna like fill up. Like I forget, it used to be
Small
like
ones.
really small. It used to be it used to be really small, like something like I don't know who Justin Henry is. It used to be like a really small, like zone files were like limited to very small size. And my understanding is that was raised to something like 1 megabyte in the current, like some really big size, basically. So like theoretically, I think there's like an not unbounded, but like however many potential BNS smart contract updates, like times the number of updates that fit in one block times 1 megabyte, I think is the maximum growth rate of Atlas, which obviously is like pretty fast. But like my point being though is that like seeing like how once people found like how like cool stuff to do with like Bitcoin, once they could just put like bigger blocks of data in, like maybe like I feel like this is like the same thing, and maybe there's a way to have it both ways. Like maybe like I don't know, like you split Atlas out and like it's still like you leave it in for now, but then like once it becomes a problem, you like you split it out so you don't have to run a Stacks node and also run an Atlas node. I don't know. That's just thinking out loud right now. Like I would, just because it seems like people really like there's a market for like permanent storage, right? As we've seen now, and that also like you could put JPEGs in it. People love JPEGs.
Right. Sorry to interject, but it just seems like there's a key problem with Atlas, just the free loader, free writer problem. It's very different than ordinals because ordinals people are paying directly for that storage.
Oh, you have to pay. You have to pay. Well, they're not paying. Well, so that's a question of much debate, right? Like they're paying
you're paying up front at least.
Well, you're paying up front for Atlas as well too. You can't put anything in Atlas without paying a Stacks transaction fee.
Wait, how's that work?
Because
pay every time. Yeah.
Every time, because like what you do is you call the update function in the BNS smart contract, and then you upload like the new zone file, right? And then like that only gets processed if you pay the fee. Now I don't know what the fee algorithm charges for that, if that's like a fair market rate. I have no idea. Like my guess is it's probably not like, I mean, given that it's probably not dynamic, it's probably like probably doesn't take that into account. I'm just guessing though. I mean, maybe Hank knows how it's priced. But
it doesn't at all. Yeah.
Yeah, but you still do pay though. You can't run the smart contract without paying,
Of course.
call the update function.
Yeah.
So you have to pay the fees of that update function, and that is implicitly paying for the Atlas data to be accepted, essentially.
Yeah, I mean it's no different. You pay the fee for your transaction to be mined. I mean the difference is that it's not like that doesn't scale based on size. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And so maybe it should.
So yeah, it's like an ordinals transaction where you pay the same fee whether you're making a single, UTXO transaction or you're posting a 4 megabyte ordinal.
I mean, it almost seems like something that would be great marketing. like
It's
have
it just
become a
seems
problem
overly
and then
complicated though.
fix it. But
It seems a little bit overly complicated to me. Like you have, like, why not? If that's the case, if you're pairing the Stacks transaction contract call with the deployment of data via Atlas and acceptance of it, why not just do it inside of the Stacks transaction?
Well, because the reason is because like you don't want to force, like you don't want to increase the block size. Like you can, like you're not like how do you explain this? Like when the contract is run, it's just looking at the hash is stored in the contract on chain, right? So Atlas is like the separate thing. It happens to be in a node, but it doesn't have to be. It could be run separately. Like so Atlas basically says like I will only allow you. It's a key value store, right? And so the value is the zone file, and the key is the hash of the zone file, right? And then Atlas says I will only store keys for which like there has been an update zone file called in the BNS smart contract. Does that make
What's
sense?
the difference between but what's the difference between increasing block size and just
because increasing block size has the same problem. It has the same problem as increasing the Bitcoin block size, right? Like it makes it like you have to have like a ton of storage, right? Like you have like
that's
higher
for Atlas
latency
functions,
between
you still need that.
miners. You don't, because you run it separately.
You can't. I mean, at the moment,
You can't today, but you could. But you could without affecting consensus.
I think yes, you absolutely could. I think
Yes.
your peers would probably. I don't know how the peer-to-peer layer works, but maybe it would be. The peers would be mad at you. If you're like not propagating. But yeah, it's 200 megabytes, by the way. I'm looking at my own Stacks node.
It's 200 megabytes per update?
No. Total Atlas storage.
Oh, okay.
Versus,
It just seems,
yeah.
it seems overly complex for like theoretical benefits versus just storing.
No, it's not. I don't think it is at all. I mean, it's the same reason. Look at it this way. Like, if you were comparing it to Bitcoin, right? Like right now, you can have 4 megabytes of data per block using the taproot stuff, right? Like with SegWit. And so this is essentially what Atlas is. It's a block size. Like if you wanted to, like we had Atlas because we basically were able to store more data without increasing the block size of Bitcoin, right? And this, in the same way, lets you store more data without increasing the block size of Stacks. That's why. All you need is the hash, and the hash. What? Yeah, go ahead.
Is that actually a problem these days? Like,
well, I mean, it's never a problem until it is a problem, right?
Yeah, but if we want to store all the zone file data via blocks today, there's no problem with that.
Well, I would say you have to put a limit on it, right? Absolutely could be a problem with it. I mean, like if you start uploading wizards to it, then you have a problem. I mean, like what? It's like it's a size question, right?
Yeah,
but that's for any usage of Stacks, right?
Yeah, you could do that. Today, it's just a fee question. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it all comes back to the economics of it. Like it's any usage of Stacks, whether it's for BNS and zone files or anything else, is going to run into the same problem. I don't think that means we should sort of shift some of that activity over to a parallel system that works with the Stacks block creation system, but doesn't store data via it. Just, I kind of get the historical reasons for it. But like now that we have Stacks with smart contracts, it feels like it's just it's like an extra organ that doesn't do much.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, I also would love to hear more. I mean, I'm not married to it either. I can see interesting uses of it, but I haven't seen anybody actually.
Well, for example,
I think,
I think regular name updates there's a very solid argument to say just store it on chain, but there's the subdomain, setup where certain zone files can be, I guess, up to a megabyte. I don't remember. I don't know exactly how big they are or what the biggest is, but I don't think you can really do that on chain, because the way it works is like every time there's a new batch update of the subdomains, you're posting like basically the whole zone file to Atlas. You're like replacing the previous one with the new one, and it would basically break, subdomain registrar code, because you'd have to basically make a full block, or more every transaction. I'm kind of just saying, like, we need, for really legacy purposes, we need to have both, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't move to this newer, like a new on-chain setup as well.
I had temporarily forgotten about subdomains.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, but
thank you for bringing those up again. I'm having flashbacks and PTSD. Are they widely in use right now at the moment? I mean, I assume they're not.
I think there's an app, Paradigma, who is running a subdomain registrar and is issuing subdomains and, has users.
Okay. Maybe we could propose not having that.
I think, yeah. My feeling is like, I think it's nice to have some legacy support here, and I don't think we should pull the rug on apps that have built around that. I think that's a good spirit to have, but at the same time, moving forward, having sort of a different path and say that is truly legacy. Like, we're not to expand on that.
For people that are watching, like, some of the background information on the subdomain registrar was that fees were very high back in 2017, registering names, and this was a way to basically register many names, like either to let like multiple names of one transaction, or to let like a third party pay for registration, so that your app could provide a free name because you're paying for it. And I think I don't know, it seems to me, at least, like, the market has shown us that, like, at least crypto people are not only willing, they're very interested in paying money for names. So that problem, I mean, while it hasn't gone away for I guess no coiners, but maybe we don't care about them immediately, and the goal is to, like, convert them to become coiners, like.
Well, and also, you don't own your subdomain. You can't trade it.
Yeah.
You're very much at the whim of the subdomain registrars. They could basically do whatever they want with your, like, record. So and I think your point is right, that BNS users, crypto users, don't want that type of setup.
Yeah. So maybe that's a separate blog post proposing that, like, to simplify it just goes away.
I'm not on board with that, but yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, you're not on board with it. You think it's worth supporting for legacy purposes?
Yeah, I mean,
even
example,
like maybe like in the future, maybe a couple of years from now or something like this. I'm not saying
BNS,
tomorrow.
for example, Coinbase uses off-chain subdomains to, give every Coinbase wallet user like a .cb.id name, and you get the benefit of basically resolution. So you can type in hank.cb.id in the wallet and transfer assets or whatever. And I think that's a nice thing. You don't have full control over that name, but it's like a sort of entry point. So I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
think
no, I
it's
totally
useless,
agree.
But yeah.
I guess I wasn't saying that the concept of subdomains is useless. I think that's very useful, but, like, maybe our particular implementation of it. My understanding from ENS was that there's like more structured way, like they have like smart contract functions that, like, or the ability to, like, pass like a contract that resolves these subdomains in, which
Now
seems
they
to make
have
a lot more sense than what we have.
Both, where you can actually issue an ownable NFT subdomain, which is quite a nice feature. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're running up on time. Is there anything that you wanted to share, or beyond this, or any action items you need help with, feedback?
I think this is really the main one where I'm kind of shaky on like what exactly the next step is, but this has been pretty, I don't know, helpful in just bouncing ideas. So I've got a next step there. The others, I don't think warrant as much discussion, or at least not right now.
Okay. I'll try to get people. I'll try to get people into the Discord group. I'm waiting for Snazzy to get back to me. And then yeah, that sounds good. And we go from there.
Cool.
Okay.
This is my favorite one yet. I'm glad we got into it.
Yeah,
Your
this is
favorite
the
one.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's keep doing this.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks. Cheers.